Hey, I think that's working. I think. Yeah. All right. Hi, it's Jamie Bishop here with Soul Heart Entertainment. Oh my gosh, it's just one of those days. So today is ToesDay. It is July 28th, and I received a couple questions that I would love to answer. So the first question is, what made me get into toe reading? Okay, so my name is Jamie Allen Bishop. I found toe reading in 2006 when I attended a Celebrate Your Life conference. And at that conference, there was this stunningly beautiful woman sitting on the floor. Her name is Casey Miller. She's the co-founder of the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. And she was sitting on the floor, and I just, I couldn't imagine why somebody so well dressed and so gorgeous was sitting on the floor. So it, of course, piqued my curiosity. And I followed the line out the door and around the building to ask people in line what they were waiting for. Why were they in line in the first place? And I found out that Casey Miller was doing toe readings. Now, it was 2006. I had obviously never heard of toe reading before. I didn't know it was a thing. What toe reading is, so that I can explain it to you guys, is this idea that our thoughts, feelings, and emotions show up the way that our toes do. And what that means, if we put that into terms that I understand, it is that the way that we think and believe shows up in how our body holds on to things. It can show up as disease, it can show up as unrest, it can show up as pain, and any other imaginable thing that's going on biologically in our body. When we're feeling badly, we produce all kinds of chemicals that end up causing difficulties in our bodies. And I knew that because when I was in pre-med school in 1990s, I was learning all about the medical side of things. So the toe reading thing really appealed to me because of the match in my mind around this philosophy and or the psychology behind how our thoughts affect our bodies. So that's what toe reading is to me, is that our thoughts, feelings, and emotions affect how our bodies show up in the world. And whether we have dis-ease or discomfort or pain, because you can actually physically see it in the toes where the thoughts are around the various and assorted things, it just instantly connected this woo-woo idea of that thoughts affect our bodies, and the toes show exactly where those thoughts house the various and assorted challenges that we come up with in life. And so, okay, so I think that sort of answers how toe reading came into my life and a little bit about what toe reading is. So as I followed this line around the building and outside and down the stairs, I realized that Casey Miller's toe reading was a super important and popular thing among the people that I consider to be my tribe, if you will. So I learned all about it. So I started going to school for it at the Southwest, and actually I started going to school for it at the Celebrate Your Life conference by attending the one-day basic toe reading training seminar. And so I instantly became a basic level toe reader that year. And then from there I did, let's see, I don't even know how many more hours I did of classroom and then of of residency, if you will, for toe reading. So that's a little bit about me and toe reading. I received my master toe reading certification in 2008, along with my master's level education in at the Arizona State University for art education. So I received those 2 master's degrees in the same year, which was super, super exciting. It was a lot of work. I had a toddler at home, so it was even more work. But it was totally and completely worth it. I just absolutely love what I do for a living. So let's go to my next question, which was, how did I know I had a passion for toes or feet, and specifically toe reading? So it kind of goes back to what I was saying before around this idea that I was very scientifically oriented when I first started my advanced education. I was pre-med. I was intending to go into biopsychiatry, which was all about brain chemistry, and with the intent of becoming a psychiatrist at some point in the future. Life happened. There were things that derailed me from that goal in life, but the toe reading thing kind of came about and served that purpose for me. It helped bridge that gap between what's going on chemically in our brain and what's turning out physically in our bodies. So that's where the passion came from, as far as connecting the 2 genres together for me. So it's really, really cool for me to find that. And thank you, Casey Miller, for bringing it into my world, and Liz Dawn for the Celebrate Your Life conference, where I found it in the first place. Let's see, do toe readings change over time? So yes, absolutely. That kind of goes to the next question, so I'll ask them both at the same time and I'll answer them both at the same time. The next one is, how can regular toe readings help? Okay, so regular toe readings and do toes change over time? That goes completely hand in hand. So yes, toes change over time. In fact, I've seen toes change in session with me. When I hit on something that's, that aha moment for somebody, where they realize that something that's been subtly underneath the surface of their belief system but hasn't actually become a belief, when it becomes a belief, the toe changes instantly and automatically. It's very humbling. It's very humbling because it feels very powerful, and at the same time you're giving that person kind of a new lease on life. So it's super, super, super cool. I often think of, there's an image in art history of Jesus bathing all of the toes and feet of his disciples right before he's crucified. And it's this image that just struck me as really, really important, in that here he is, this incredibly powerful man, being in service and being humble at the feet of his disciples, bathing them and anointing them with oil. And it's a very powerful experience, and at the same time a very humbling experience to be a toe reader. So I just love it. And when I'm a helper by nature. I feel of service. I feel important. I feel powerful. I feel, all of these things that are really, really amazing when I'm sitting in service as a helper to somebody's advancement, a spiritual advancement, releasing physical pain, getting over emotional trauma, any of that kind of stuff. So it kind of joins into that psychological part of life where you're really helping somebody kind of, I guess, see things in a different perspective, right? It's not psychology, it's not medicine, but it's miraculous beyond those things sometimes to me. And I think that that's the thing that is the most exciting about it. So when in session, toes definitely change. For example, and how can regular toe readings help? So when it comes to toe readings, what we're talking about is asking a very specific question, and your toes will reveal your beliefs around that specific thing. And if you're like me or any other human on the face of the earth, you have this idea that this is where you should be, and yet here are the beliefs that keep us kind of stuck just out of reach of reaching that goal. So when I look down at my own toes, I know where my beliefs are keeping me stuck. And the way that that can help is, you know, especially in situations where I'm stuck and I can't get myself over something, I have to reach out for help with other people, which is really hard for me. I'm not somebody who asks for help ever, let alone, you know, when I'm in pain or when I need something. It feels really, really, really uncomfortable to me. But it's amazing how when I do get over my own fear around being helped, or I don't even know what gets in the way. I guess ego it would be the best way to put it. When I get over my own ego and I ask for the help anyway, I get guidance around things that I already know to be true. But it's funny how we as helpers in the world, we can see everybody else's problems clear as day. We can guide them to the light. We can, you know, make suggestions for them that help them receive those aha moments. And then for ourselves, it's really, really hard to do that, right? So it's just this way of looking at things where I get out of my own way. I ask for help. I have mentors in my life. I have coaches that I call upon who help me see the things that I can't see for myself, which I think everybody needs that in their life, right? And what that looks like and how it ends up helping, it just depends on the question at hand. So, for example, you know, there are keys to everybody's happiness level in life, and those keys have a tendency to be the things that we focus on what we need, right? So like, for example, if your goal is to have a happier love life or to find a significant other, looking at your toes, it's the ring finger toe. It's the second to last toe. If this is the big toe, pointer toe is the communication toe. The big toe is the big picture toe or destiny toe. The middle toe is the action or temperament toe. The ring finger toe is the relationship toe. And then the baby toe is the faith and trust or prosperity and abundance toe. So when we're talking about our love life or the goal of finding our twin flame or somebody who just feels like they get us, right? You're looking at your ring finger toes. Now, of course, to me, you always look at the entire package. You look at all of the toes, because if you're off in any one area more significantly than the other, love is going to be a hard thing to come by and or keep. Let's say you're really good at finding it, but holding on to it is something that you struggle with, that kind of thing. That will show up in your toes. So, for example, on the right foot, it's about our external relationships, so our relationships to other people. On our left foot, it's about our relationships to ourselves and our higher purpose path in life. So when we're talking about us looking for love, I assume most people are looking for that love relationship outside themselves. So of course I would start with the right foot and the ring finger toe. And I would just see what's going on there. So for example, if that toe is pointing downward, that's a lack of faith maybe. It could be, self-esteem challenges. It could be that we're not showing up exactly the way that we think we should be, or that we think we are, the best way that we think can attract somebody to us. Maybe we're holding ourselves back for fear of getting hurt. Maybe we're holding ourselves back from, it's a holding back essentially is what it comes down to, is when the toe kind of droops toward the earth. If the toe is chunky, like thicker skin than the rest of the toes, that has a tendency to mean that you're protecting yourself on some level, or that you're maybe holding on to too many significant others. The song from No No Nanette, the musical, comes to mind. The too many rings around Rosie will never get Rosie a ring, right? So it's kind of that idea, is that idea that when the toe chunks up a little bit, it has a tendency to be challenging to hold on to something because there's too much protection, or there's too much expectation, or there's too much of something, maybe rein in some of the expectations, or just being unclear, so it's of what you're looking for, right? Does any of that make sense? So let's see, what else can I talk about as far as the relationship in the love life and how it shows up on the toes. So, gosh, if there's peeling, maybe there's needing to release things that no longer serve your highest purpose path. If there's ingrown toenails, it's maybe a stubbornness that's going on, or maybe some sort of again, with the expectations. I think expectations are a lot of what keep us from seeing what is right in front of our eyes, right? I mean, there's so many Hallmark movies, right, around the subject of finding true love. And inevitably, somebody's looking at, maybe the third party and really focused on getting this guy or girl, but the one that's standing right in front of them, that's been there, that's been the support and the cheerleader for them, and really loves them deeply as for who they are the whole time, they completely overlook because their eyes and focus are over here, right? So that shows up in the toes through things like ingrown toenails, maybe broken toenails, maybe some vertical lines where we're, we're pigeonholing ourselves around our expectations, right? So those are all the kind of things that we look at and that we look for. And the ways that we change them are really, essentially what it comes down to is that we need to change our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions around those subjects before it will show up as a change on the toes. But when we become really aware of it, and we become aware of things that we're doing to put ourselves in those kind of situations. So for example, if we do have ingrown toenails on our love toes, on our relationship toes, look on the left toe first, because if your relationship to your higher self isn't fulfilled and isn't abundant in its own way, finding that abundance outside of ourselves isn't really it's not gonna work, because it's not an energetic match to each other, right? So that's that. Let's maybe talk about one more question. So the last question is how do toe readings change over time? So when I'm in session and let's say that somebody is interested in their love life being more exciting or more fulfilling, and we come across something specific that involves, let's just say that it has to do with those ingrown toenails. Maybe they have expectations that are really, really precise. And, because they have that, let's call it tunnel vision around what they're looking for or what they expect to see in a significant other, maybe they're not open enough to see somebody else who might fit that bill at some point, or their expectations. I don't ever want to say that expectations are out of the realm of possibility, because I think expectations are really, really actually important to have, because expectations are just this list of things that we do want, right? It's a, list of things that are really important to you to find in a significant other. And I think that those things are super, super important to know when it comes to finding somebody who serves your highest purpose path the best. But when we hold somebody else accountable to ideals that we don't hold ourselves accountable to, there again, it's that energetic mismatch. If you expect them to be honest, but you're not honest, it's not going to be an energetic match. So you're never ever going to be able to attract somebody who's honest if you're not honest. Same thing with other things, like, one of the things that I dealt with recently was somebody who really felt that their significant other was really lazy, but they felt like they had this hugely wonderful work ethic, and everything that they put forth, they put forth all the effort, is essentially what it came down to. Well, in the toe reading, it showed up very different. The toe reading showed me that this person was probably not as ambitious as they thought that they were. And so we got to talking a little bit around where that expectation came from, why it's there, how we can shift the expectation, and or start to recognize where their significant other is not lazy, where their significant other is putting forth ambitious effort into the relationship or otherwise. Anyway, it was just, and it was kind of that aha moment of, oh crap, here I am asking for something that I'm not even doing myself. And so it was a really immediate shift in the vision, really. And about 2 weeks later, I got a little note just saying like, oh my gosh, things are amazing. It's so much better. The toe reading helped so much with the expectations around what I wanted versus what I am getting, and how to see that you're actually getting what you want and what you desire. It's just a matter of shifting that perception, just the slightest little touch. So I think that that's what's going on in the world. I answered a few questions that I had. If you have any other questions, please let me know, really. And I will continue to answer questions. Otherwise, I gave a little example, if you are just tuning in, gave a little example around love life situation, and how that shows up in the toes. So yeah, I don't see anything coming up. I'm just gonna quickly look to see if there's another area where I can. Oh, hey Nikki, how are you? Thanks for joining. So yeah, I have a couple more minutes, so I'm happy to spend some time with you, Nikki. Do you have any questions? Anything in particular? What I was talking about was here. Let me grab something really quick. I finally had my toe reading map printed backwards, so that hopefully it shows up and makes a little bit more sense. Can you see that? Yay! I love that it's actually the right way. Although the left and the right foot, I believe, when it's, because the image is reversed, it might look like it's on the wrong side, but it's actually, anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so Nikki asked, during love life, is your toes curl up? So I'm thinking that question is like, what does the curling up of the toes mean, right? Now, are you talking toes or toenails? Let's get that clarified a little bit first. Because when we're talking about toes that curl upward, we're talking about people, like the padding, if we're talking about the padding, what we're talking about is somebody who has a really positive attitude, who always looks, you know, to the otherworldly, you know, let's say to their God for the answers, the angels, energies outside themselves, right? They're looking to that to find answers. So while all of that is well and good, and it's definitely, I certainly would rather be around somebody who is positive and has that, you know, good energy, and, you know, trusts and have faith that things are going to go well for them. But when it comes to relationships in life, it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, because when we put our expectations in, or how do I say this? When we're wearing rose-colored glasses, right? Sometimes we can't see all of the shades of things that are going on around us, right? Does that make sense? So while being positive and being energetically uplifting and being in a good frame of mind can be a good thing, it can also make you it can make you lie to yourself. It can make you not see things the way that they truly are, but rather see things the way that you want them to be, or the way you know they can be, right? Let's see, there's another one. My baby, you know, I think that it says, can you see financial abundance in the feet? Oh gosh, yes. And what if you want to change it? Would I wear a toe ring to bring attention to us? So, okay, so jewelry on the feet. Sure, you absolutely can. It's kind of like, do you remember back in the 70s, it probably was even before the 70s, how people used to tie a ribbon or tie something around one of their fingers to remind them to do something? So that's kind of the same concept here. So when you're talking about any kind of jewelry, you are talking about bringing your attention and focus to that specific area. And so, like, for example, my daughter's been wearing a toe ring on her right foot communication toe. So I know that in her subconscious somewhere, her little teenage self is trying to be more verbal about the way that she feels. And, right? So that's kind of how it shows up, is that she's just doing that. So with financial abundance and prosperity, one of the things, first of all, that shows up on your right foot, on your baby toe. It also has very much to do, I know you know this, Nikki, so I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but I'm going to say it anyway, just for people that don't know it. That is that your left foot, your faith and trust baby toe, versus your right foot, which is your prosperity and abundance baby toe, they have to be similar looking in order to have that energetic vibration match the two of them, right? So you broke your financial one, that's good. Okay, so not that breaking your toe is a good thing, although maybe it is, you know, depending on what was going on in your life at the time. But chances are likely that when we have brokenness come into our life on our toes, that we're literally breaking with past thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve us. So we're going into this, and I'm getting confirmation goosebumps, so I know that's true for you. So when you broke your toe, just think back to what was going on in your financial life at that time. Perhaps things weren't working well. Perhaps they were at a point where you were just pulling your hair out because it's the same old, same old. Okay, so it's when you lost your job. Okay, so my question to you then ends up being, if it's a breaking with, in your mind's eye, what's going on, it's a breaking of the thought that that job or that a job like it can serve the financial abundance for you specifically going forward. It may or may not be the right way to go forth and gain financial abundance. Does that make sense? So I would definitely welcome you to consider what options do you have in order to create financial abundance in your world, and to widen your perspective of what that looks like for you going forward. Because when we have broken situations, we're definitely breaking with belief and thought patterns that no longer serve us, that we need to leave behind. So if that traditional job, J-O-B, just over broke, if you lost it and that's when you broke your toe, it was kind of your angels saying, jumping up and down, saying, okay, yay, it's time to break with that idea being the truth in your life, because it's no longer a truth for you. It's time to move on into something a little bit more scary, if you will, something a little bit more outside of the traditional way of looking at prosperity and abundance for you. So I know you're an incredibly talented woman. So I suspect personally that all of that has to do with getting your alignment with that you have so much to offer the world, in alignment with that being your prosperity and abundance, that you have these incredible gifts and this incredible talent, and it's time to step up to the plate, girl, and use them to your advantage and the rest of the world's advantage. Let's be honest, you're amazing. So when I look at the prosperity and abundance toe, I'm also talking about your root chakra, okay? So I hope that you've started wearing more red. I hope that you have started doing some chanting. I'm trying to read this because it's backwards, of course. But the root chakra is I'm sorry, I can't read it. But so what you need to do is keep your thoughts and emotions in check around joy. So what brings you joy? I mean, like doing these toe reading things. I freaking love these. I love talking to people about this. I would do it all day, every single day of my whole life. So to do this brings me so much joy and it fills me up so much. And at the same time, I happen to be serving other people to raise their own vibrations, right? So it's such a great vibrational match to prosperity and abundance. So do that. It's kind of like, duh, we get in our own way because we think we know better than universal source knowledge or God-like knowledge. We don't know better. We need to go with that flow. We need to go with the flow that puts us in joy. And when we're in joy, guess what? Everybody else around us is too. It's so exciting, isn't it? I love it. So anyway, that is over my half an hour this evening. But I'm so glad you joined in, Nikki, and I'm so glad to chat with you. I'm glad your toe is healing. That tells me that you're on the right path. So whatever path you're on, you are setting a beautiful, the year 2020 is a foundational year. And it's kind of this year that we're all, God, there's so much change going on. And if we can see it from the rose-colored glasses perspective, it's this fantastic experience of joy and change and breaking with old traditions that don't work anymore. They just don't work. And thank goodness that the change is coming. And thank goodness that all of these things have happened this year to upset the status quo. Status quo is, it's yucky now. So let's leave it. Let's leave it behind us and be grateful for all of the ways that we can be here to improve ourselves and improve everybody else around us. You're so gifted, Nikki. And each one of us is, aren't we? In our own special way. So the more people know, the better off the whole world is, right? The more people that know your gifts and know about them and hire you for your gifts, oh my gosh, the better off the whole world is, because we're all up leveling, we're all feeling better, we're all creating this more enlightened experience here on earth. So anyway, that's the soapbox for the day. All right, well, thank you again for being here. Jamie with Soul Heart Entertainment. If you would like to know more about personal tarot readings, give me a private message and I'll tell you more about it. And in the meantime, be kind to one another. It's so easy, so much easier than being mean, right? Take care. Bye for now. I'll be here next Tuesday for ToesDay.